it's me, Harper Savage, and today we're doing Project 5 from the Grabie Advent Calendar, so let me go ahead and read the card for you. Days 17 to 20, creative countdown to the new year. Join us from day 17 to 20 for our best stationery selection that will inspire your creativity. This project invites you to embrace the holiday spirit and jot down your bright future with our thoughtfully curated supplies. Each day brings a new tool to help you plan and express your ideas. Let's dive in and get ready to create an amazing new year together. Day 17 mini notebook, day 18 medium point erasable gel pen set of 4, day 19 dual tip note taking pen set of 2, day 20 color magic layering marker set of 2. So it is days 17 to 20, so let me go grab those boxes. Here they are. So we have the dot journal. Hopefully you guys can see the dots. I know it was hard to see them before. Which one's 18? Oh, give them to me! We got our erasable pens here that come in colors. Why is nothing coming out? Our note-taking pens and our magic marker thingies. So first things first, we need to test the paper. Oh man, we're gonna have this problem again, aren't we? Do you think this is overkill? This is a bit dramatic. I'd use a smaller one, but I'm just having such a hard time getting this one open for some reason. I think it's just extra sturdy. All right, let's do some scribbly wibblies on here. Yes, I am going to tilt it. Would you say that's green? I'm calling it turquoise, but maybe we should just call it green because I forgot how to spell turquoise. So we can also see how it erases on this paper. Let's take a closer look at this. I think it erases all right. I think it erases about like how pencil would, where you can still see it a little bit. I don't super love how these pens are working on this paper though, but I don't know if it's a paper problem or the pen problem because they're doing this railroading thing. You can see the best in the gray where the color's on the edges but not in the center. And now let's do the note-taking pen. Now I like that. That side's great. I guess we'll call this pink. It looks like a pinkish red in the pen form, but like the highlighter's definitely pink. Last we have our magical markers. So one end says base layer and the other end says top layer. I'm just gonna do both over top here, just in case anybody wanted to see what both of them look over top of the colors. Okay, so I wasn't able to skip a line there, but I realized I skipped like 3 lines at the top. It's okay, it's just a testing page. We want to see like if this material is going to bleed through anything here. Let's flip the page. None of it bled through. I do see some ghosting, mostly in the note-taking pens. I might do like a few more tests here with normal supplies that I would use and not just the supplies they gave me for future reference. So here's the assortment of supplies I grabbed. I grabbed a Micron in black, a Corolla in black, and my Papermate Inkjoy in black, and then I grabbed a Jelly Roll in blue, a Click It Zebra in blue, my Papermate Flare and Brush, whatever these are called, in blue, and a Sharpie S-Note Duo in blue. I just chose blue because I only had the Click It in blue. I didn't have black, so I just started picking out blue stuff too. These are the supplies I usually use in my planners. That's why I grabbed them, and I'm sure other people use them too. Okay, let's see. Any of it bled through the paper. The Jelly Roll's still wet. Wow, none of it bled through. I'm impressed. I do see a little bit of ghosting on most of them, but not a horrible amount of ghosting. I think I want to go over the super tip spot a few more times, just in case. I use them as highlighters sometimes, which is why I included it. Oh, still nothing. So, I don't know what kind of paper this is, but it's pretty nice. Maybe it's the same as the marker pad. It just didn't say that. I don't know. What we're going to do next is count out the squares. I also want to check to see about consistency on the paper here, because it looks like the grid is shifted off on some pages, so the number's not going to be the same on each page, which could be a problem for bullet journalers and plannerers. So right here, there's actually dots on the edge of this page, but the very next page, the dots are not on the edge of the page, and it looks like we're about halfway through a square. So consistency with the dot paper, it is going to be a problem. So me counting this out might not be accurate for everybody, but I'll do it anyways. So while I was counting out the dots here, I noticed that the only pages that you can actually draw straight across on are going to be the ones with the stitching in them, because it's the center of the signature and it's the same piece of paper that's folded over. Whereas this one is connected to this one right here. So it looks a little funny how the dots are like up here, and then they're way down here on the edge of the paper here. I don't have high hopes for this actually being usable for people who are planning and are using the dot grid system. I'm going to count out a couple of other pages out here to just see if we have like an average amount of dots on each page. I'll be right back. Okay, so there does seem to be an average of a 16 by 16. However, on some of the pages, the 16th square is cut off. Like on this page, I believe it's cut off here. Now I've got to come up with some ideas to make this square and this not so consistent grid work. Well, let me think about it. Okay, so I came up with a couple of ideas here, so let's get into them. So this is going to be a little bit difficult because my first idea is on this page, and I can't really pin it down just yet. But we're going to be using the supplies that we got for the boxes, and I want to try to keep to only using the supplies that we got for this set of days, just because I'm curious if you can really make it work with these supplies. So you can't really see it, but I do have a table of contents right here. I'm going to do that in gray. We won't be too fancy for that because there's a lot of writing involved with that normally. I do have a ruler I'm going to use to make things quicker. Oh my god, I can't even draw a straight line, but that's why we have a eraser. Try that again. Yes, I'm turning the book instead of the ruler because it's just that tiny. Don't expect me to have fancy handwriting because I'm really just not that great at it, and I also took off the wrong end, I guess. Like my F. Oh my god, what happened there? So this one's going to be a work in progress as we fill out the rest of the bullet journal here. Okay, so my first real idea, other than a table of contents, is the year at a glance layout. This would have worked better if I had a double page spread, but I'm just like, whatever. Okay, so I decided to go ahead and highlight the columns on this one and the rows on this one, just to show you like the differences. Because the grid is so close together and tiny, I think column highlighting is much better than the row highlighting, because now you can kind of see the numbers separately a bit more. So we need to fill in our first table of contents page here. I'm going to do it in the green just for fun. I'll say it's pages 1 through 3. You know what? Let's write that this is pages here, We got our first table of content done. Now let's pretend we did all the rest of those months and move on to some more weekly based stuff for now. I have a week of habits on this side, so let's start filling that out. Okay, so for this one, I decided to do column highlighting so it's easier to tell what belongs to what. I used a magic pen to mark off, when I did those things, on our imaginary week that we did here, because it writes over the highlighter. And I decided to do just a week of habits because I don't know how I'd fit in more. That's my idea for a weekly habit tracker, and there's still room to grow here. Next spread we're going to work on is weekly tasks. I do have 2 variants of this though, so if you don't like this layout, we have another option. Okay, so for the weekly, I went ahead and made up some tasks and either moved them, checked them off, or canceled them. So this is the row version of the spread. Next, we're going to work on a column version, just in case you have more than 4 tasks you want to try to fit in. Okay, so that yellow is a bit hard to see. It just says weekly, but here is the column version in case you wanted to see what that would look like on a tiny spread here. I did skip every other line, so if we had like longer words, we could write it onto the next line here. And my last idea is going to be a rating system where I wrote movies, but you could probably make it anything. To be honest, I don't really watch that many movies, so I didn't have any good ideas to fill in the slots here to make it look believable. But I did see Demon Slayer last. So I gave it 3 out of 5. I don't know if that's how I really feel about the movie or not. I just gave it a random rating, okay? But yeah, we gotta fill out our table of contents here so we know where all of our pages are. So let's do a quick flip through of what we've done. We did the test page here with the supplies that were given to us for these days. I counted out the squares here, and on average it's 16 by 16. And we tested out some supplies that I would normally use in my actual bullet journal, not just a mini one. And then we have a table of contents, a year at a glance, pretend that there's more there, and a week of habits. And then we have the weekly tasks. in two versions here. We got a row version and a column version, and then we have a rating system for movies. So that's all I really came up with. There's not a whole lot I feel like I could do in this tiny bullet journal. But let's go over the items and what I think about each of them. Give the project a rating. Let's go over the erasable pens first because I think I used them first. So they're very reminiscent of the erasable pens that I want to say either Bic or Papermate used to make back in the day that had an actual eraser on it. They came in like blue and black and they did not work well. So this is not a good comparison because I feel like they work similarly where they don't work fantastically, but because they're erasable, it's kind of like, I forgive that. Because if you make a mistake, you can erase it. Now, the indent on the page is still going to be there. It's not just going to magically be, like, completely gone. But that happens with pencils, too. So, I don't think it's a big deal. I like the matte finish on these pens, and I like how they feel in my hand. I just think the ink could be better. And I am curious to know, if I were to bring this out on a hot summer day, would I get rid of all of my pen lines because they erase with friction, which is heat generation. So I'm just a little concerned about like if I were to take this out, because this is definitely a portable size sketchbook, but I feel like it's meant to be like taken with you places. It's not hot enough out right now for me to do that kind of test, so I can't say for sure if that would happen or not, where all my lines would disappear. But I like these, and honestly I wouldn't mind getting the full set because they come in colors and they're erasable pens. So for these, I really liked how they wrote. And the highlighters were pretty smooth too. They didn't have that like dry finish that like I think the zebra mild liners kind of have. And they were easy to control. I do think that they could smudge if you don't wait long enough for them to dry, but I don't think the dry time is too long or anything. I highly recommend these if you are into note-taking and highlighting things. Now, for the color magic markers, I really like how glittery the highlighter side is. And I think it's cool that these kind of do that whole magic thing where it writes over the darker color, but that's where it kind of ends for me. I don't look for pens that can do this, so this is not my thing, but I feel like if people love that kind of thing, they're gonna like these because they write really smooth and they're glittery. I like the glittery part more than I like the magic part, I guess. I do like these nibs. They're like flexible on the end here, almost to a point where it's a little too flexible, but I still do enjoy how soft the nibs are, I guess, is what I'm trying to say here. Now let's go over the dot sketchbook here. The paper's good. The paper's good. However, I have problems with the dot grid not being consistent. I wonder if they printed off sheets of paper and then cut the paper up instead of printing off this size paper. It would be like 2.75 by 5.5 sheets, and I know that's like not a normal size to print, so I'm guessing they printed full sheets and cut them up and then folded them, made signatures, and sewed it together. That's why their dots are all off. Oh, look at that. There's something wrong with mine. Oh, whoa, what? Oh, okay, I see. So when they glued this paper on from the end of the signature to the cover, I guess it like tore it up here. It's not a big deal. But I guess check yours if you have one. I just want to show you my dot journal that I made just to show you what like a proper dot grid should look like and what I mean by the dots being off from each other. This is my hardback Amazon journal. I made the design and the inside. You can't get the hardbacks, unfortunately. I just was not impressed with them at the time. I might revisit that soon, though. So this is what my dot grid looks like. I have margins on every side. I know some dot journals don't do that because they can print precisely, but it is the same on every single page here. It doesn't shift or move like it's doing in the Grabie notebook. I'll even skip like a big chunk and you'll see it's the same. It's going to be the same amount of dots approximately on the same spot every time. Whereas the Grabie one, the dots shift around a lot, and that's not okay. And I actually feel like some of these cuts are like a little bit crooked too, unfortunately. So I do feel like that's a little bit of a problem. That could be more of a I'm being picky kind of thing, but I don't like that the dots aren't exactly the same on every page. Also, I think this is just way too small. I think it's more probably easier to use this just for like general tasks where you make a checklist every day and you don't do like the actual planner part because it's just too small. You can do it. I've proved that you can do it. It's just going to be very simple designs. So that is totally up to you, but my opinion is that this is too small for me to make into a planner. I think I will just use it like as maybe a swatch book or just my to-do list for the day. So I definitely feel like these supplies do go with this project, unlike a couple of other projects I've rated. But I have to take off points for the journal just being too small, and I don't feel like it's really the best for a planner for the planner project. And I'm also like not in love with this being the not last project, you know what I mean? I think this should have been project 6 when we're like nearly done with the year, right? I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 tea loaves because I do like everything about this. I just think the journals is too small. But that is gonna be it for me today. If you guys want to check out the last project, you get to have the thumbnail here. If you want to catch up on anything you missed, you get to have the thumbnail here. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to do all the cool YouTube-y things of commenting, liking, subscribing, and turning on that notification bell, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!